My topic today is holmium laser en bloc transurethral resection of bladder tumor. Now, we are all used to be doing TURBTs as we were taught as residents. And the idea was to keep chopping the cauliflower-like growth or the papilloma from top to bottom, and we would cut through the blood supply each time we chop it. And I used to wonder what to do if we need to devascularize the tumor. And I always dreamt of it. And in 2000, found this article from Japan in the Journal of Urology, where somebody talked about a new technique for transurethral resection of bladder tumor. So what they did was they got a TURP loop and they made a hook out of it, and they called it a needle, a curved needle. And they would encircle the tumor base with a needle, and then they would enucleate it. And this appeared to be quite good because it fulfilled the dream that you can just attack the blood vessel which is supplying the tumor and devascularize the tumor and remove it en bloc. So within 1.5 years, in December 2001, another paper appeared from Japan, from a different group, of course. And this time they talked about the en bloc resection of bladder tumor with holmium laser. And there were two techniques that they used, the needle as well as the holmium laser. So this was quite encouraging. And we need to have a bloodless field whenever we are looking at the bladder tumor or whatever surgery we want to do. And the idea that I got from these papers was that we could use a holmium laser fiber to encircle the base of the tumor. And if we could coagulate the base of the tumor, the bleeding would stop and the vision would improve. And then we could use the laser fiber to use it like a razor that we use to go parallel to the surface of the bladder mucosa just deep enough to take the muscle along with it. And this resection is virtually bloodless. And you see when I show you my videos. So I will have to actually stop the presentation and go to the video, which I have got here. So let me know, Aditya, if there's a problem in seeing the video.
Yes, sir. Please start. We'll let you know. Yeah.
This is the case
Perfect.
of a 56-year-old male who presented to the emergency services with hematuria and clot retention. He was taken up for cystoscopy and proceed under anesthesia. On doing the cystoscopy, we found almost 100 ml of clots in the bladder, and there was a polypoidal lesion overriding the right ureteric orifice just lateral to it, and this was actively bleeding. The bladder neck and urethra were essentially normal. So we decided to resect this tumor using holmium laser energy. We used a 26th French resectoscope and 550 micron laser carrier fiber. We used the energy settings at 0.5 into 20 is equal to 10 watts. So this is how we went. We start with delivering the energy, encircling the base of the tumor. Since we are using low energy, there is much more coagulation. And you can see that with the laser fiber, we are encircling the base with a sweeping movement, and we lift up a layer of the bladder muscle along with the specimen. Since we are working right at the blood supply of the tumor, the moment the laser works at the blood supply, the bleeders get coagulated and the blood supply to the tumor becomes reduced considerably, resulting in a much clearer vision and reduction in the active hematuria from the top of the tumor. One can see that the sweeping movements are lifting up the bladder tumor along with a thin strip of detrusal muscle. The trick is to go around the base of the tumor all around and then slowly work as if one is shaving the tumor off the bladder wall. As it can be evident from the video that there is hardly any bleeding when we are just shaving off the bladder tumor from the base at the bladder wall. And this results in a very clear vision. One can see the thin fibers of the smooth muscles. Another advantage with this kind of a technique is that since the vision is very clear, one can save the ureteric orifice. You see the ureteric orifice is too close from the tumor. And once we are using laser fiber, we can just prevent the damage to the ureteric orifice and we can just lift the tumor off the bladder wall. The other advantage is that since we are not using an electrocautery, there is no fear of obturator jerk that one comes across occasionally while resecting the tumor from the lateral wall of the urinary bladder. Small bleeders could be coagulated using the same energy so that one does not have to do any additional procedure for hemostasis. Once a plane is developed, it is patiently increased on all the sides so that we envelop the tumor from all the sides. Since we are not cutting the bladder tumor from the top, we are not encountering the bleeder again and again as we see that in a standard TURBT procedure. This also prevents fragmentation of the tumor and theoretical risk of dissemination of the tumor cells into the bladder milieu while we are removing the tumor. This actually removes the tumor as en bloc with the tumor along with the base, which consists of the superficial muscles of the bladder. One has to be careful not to go too deep to cause a damage to the integrity of the bladder wall. But with patience and little technique, one can avoid making a hole in the bladder. A few of the bleeders can be coagulated, as you can see in this video. Using this energy, one can enucleate the bladder tumor as one does a holmium laser enucleation of the prostate. Only thing is we do not have a definite plane here and we have to create one plane for our own working. This shows a wide hemostatic area from the base of the bladder with a normal ureteric orifice on the right side, which is unharmed. And this is the tumor. So I hope I am audible.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So this was the case of a 57-year-old person who had presented in 2009, and this video was later on presented to the World Congress of Endourology in Istanbul, 2012. And, you know, there is a question about how, while we were doing all this, how en bloc resection improves the overall histopathological evaluation, and does it improve the recurrence? So we got this paper coming from the SGPGI group during the same period, 2012, where they have talked about, they have addressed the question, does en bloc transurethral resection of the bladder tumor give a better yield in terms of muscle biopsy? And consequently, another paper talking about whether there is a reduction in the recurrence or a recurrence-free period. So what they had used in SGPGI was, again, something like a loop, which was tilted to 45 degrees. They did not use a needle. They used a loop which was tilted, and they tried to use it like a spade that a gardener uses to pull out a small weed from the garden. So these are the two papers coming from the SGPGI group, and this one talks about whether there was a recurrence-free period. So they actually proved that there is a recurrence-free and a progression-free period, which is longer if you do an en bloc excision rather than the standard TURBT. So when we are dealing with TCC, the principle is that we should not transgress the boundaries of the bladder, and that must be adhered to, strictly. A cold cup biopsy from the base of the lesion must be taken if in doubt. As in this case, you saw there was the muscle which was clear, and then you can just pick up the cold cup biopsies if you feel that there are areas, which I did in this particular case. However, when we look at the overall published literature, the histological studies have not found any difference in reporting the specimen. But that is what it is as of now in the world literature. So apart from the bladder tumor that I just showed, there are other intravesical lesions which can be used which can be treated with holmium laser, like proliferative cystitis. So I have got a video of proliferative cystitis. The point is that we can actually control the depth of penetration in a non-malignant lesion, and the bleeding is very minimal, and you can avoid damaging the ureteric orifice. So this is a case of 32-year-old male doctor who presented to me in 2007. I did a TURBT for a tumor at the trigone, and the histology turned out to be cystitis glandularis. This was a huge tumor, and he had presented with painful symptoms. His pain disappeared, and after 6 months, he came back again with painful lower tract symptoms. So this is the video I'm going to share with you. Sorry. Just bear with me. Yeah. So this is the, is the video visible?
Yeah,
Dr.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is the video after 6 months of original TURBT. You can see that there's this blistering all over the trigone. I'm trying to look for the left ureteric orifice. I have not been able to look for, I've not been able to identify the left ureteric orifice. And there is a right ureteric orifice. Can you see this small speck there? And because this is a long video, I'm going to show, this is a, and I'm trying to actually locate the left ureteric orifice. But you can see that the changes of cystitis glandularis are far and wide in the posterior wall of the bladder. So what I did was I came back with a resector. I usually use a resectoscope, laser resectoscope, which is, this is a Wolf made instrument, and that has a movement which is similar to the TURP instrument. So here the problem is that I have not been able to identify the right ureteric orifice, and I'm scared. This is the, sorry, this is the right ureteric orifice. The left ureteric orifice, I could not. This is the result of the previous TURBT that I did. So I start with the laser, I come back and I start with the laser, and my setting for the laser are 0.5 into 20.
Taneja,
Yes.
just a second.
Hanji.
The feed is slowing down. I would request just to switch off your video while you are sharing, switch off your camera while you are sharing the video, because both things are staggering. I think
Okay,
maybe
okay.
load on the transmission.
Okay. Is that okay?
Perfect, sir. Perfect. Yeah.
Oh, thank you for the tip. So can you see the video now?
Yeah, yes.
So you can see the same technique I'm using, but this is not a malignant tumor. This is, and the advantage here is that usually cystitis glandularis, as I had the histological diagnosis already with me, is not very deep. We need not have a deep resection. And in this particular case, my problem was that I was not able to identify the left ureter at all. And it was somewhere in the scar. And the previous time that I had done a TURBT also, I had not been able to identify because it was at that time a big, much larger tumor mass or a papillomatous mass that I had resected. So the advantage of holmium laser resection, as you can see in this case, is that we can keep enucleating very superficially, and we can see the muscle fibers stretching at the base of the lesion. And even if you are very close to the ureteric orifice, you are only mucosal deep. You are not actually very deep through and through, whatever you can. So you can avoid an injury. I remember there was a case when I was doing my MCH, we had a similar case. He was DGP of Goa, and our senior faculty was operating, and they had an exactly similar tumor, and they thought it was bladder, it was a malignant bladder tumor, and they were very aggressive, and they ended up injuring both the ureteric orifice, and the guy needed a bilateral reimplantation. So if you see the thin layer that I'm scraping off from the bladder mucosa, even if I have to cut through the ureteric orifice, I would perhaps not injure it. The energy that I'm using is 0.5 joules into 20 hertz. So that, you see, this technique, if you are used to using it, only then you can use it. Otherwise, if you use it sparingly, you will perhaps not like to use it when you actually need it. So I would suggest that you can often start trying these techniques when you are doing small tumors, learn the art. And this is a very satisfying video because this is virtually bloodless. This is an unedited video. And what happens is that when you are here, you can be little less careful, and you can find a way inside the layers of the bladder, as I have just done it here. And you should avoid doing this kind of a pit in the bladder muscle. But that is okay because you are learning and you should know. And look at the thin layer that I have raised. And that is all that is required out of this tissue. So I'll stop it here and I'll come back to my presentation. So can you see the presentation? Hello?
Not yet, sir, not yet.
Hello? I can't see.
We cannot see the
You
presentation.
can go to share screen again, sir.
Yeah,
Is there?
yeah.
You can start your camera also,
Yeah.
sir.
Okay, maybe, yes, that is it. Is that okay now?
Perfect.
Yeah, so this is the last slide that we were talking about. And this is the one. So we had this patient, he was very happy after this procedure. I was not happy because till the end I could not see the left ureteric orifice. I monitored him on an ultrasound and did not find any hydroureteral nephrosis. So I was happy. He still comes to me. He is very happy. He did not have any recurrence. I do not know why he did not have any recurrence. So this is another patient who came to me in 2008 with a 50-year-old who had a recent onset urgency, and I got a urine cytology because I couldn't find anything else. The ultrasound done 2 months ago was normal, so I just got a cytology which turned out to be having a suspicious malignant cells in it. So I decided to do cystoscopy and proceed. So I'll just show you this small video here. Yeah. So can you see this? This is a,
Yes, sir.
yeah. So small, very small, multiple scattered papillomatous lesion with some calcific spots, which means that they must have oozed blood. And he did have microscopic hematuria. That's why I got a cytology done. And this is sitting at the trigone. So he also had a bladder neck incision, a bladder neck obstruction, but I will just tell you how, sorry. Yeah, this is the place. So this is how I started. The same technique. See, the point is that if you do TURBT with an electrical energy, you end up scarring the tissue. The advantage of holmium laser is the depth of the energy. The depth of the energy is 0.4 millimeters. So it does not cause burning or scarring of the tissues. So the first step is to encircle. You identify the ureteric orifices and you make your boundaries. Okay, I'm going to lift up this piece of mucosa with its lesion. So I've just encircled it. And this is it's a very important, like any surgeon will do in any other surgery, would identify what is the target that I need to do. And since this appears to be a very superficial lesion, but we had a malignant cell positive cytology, so we needed to go in a layer that was little deeper than the previous one. I hope you can appreciate the difference in the layer. This is a much deeper layer than the one that I lifted up from the previous non-malignant lesion. The advantage is, since its depth is very minimal, it does not cause ischemic tissue which is left behind. So there's no ischemic tissue, there's no inflamed tissue left behind, because if you leave behind ischemic tissue, like you do a TURBT, you burn that area because you're coagulating. The depth of the burn is almost 2 to 3 millimeters. And that dead tissue which you leave behind has to heal with inflammation. So if you cause inflammation, you cause scarring. And that is what is the cause of symptoms, and especially because on trigone like this, trigone is rich in the nerve supply, with the sensory nerve supply of the bladder. So trigone is the sensory switch of the bladder. So if you leave behind some ischemic area or necrotic area in the bladder, it is going to heal with intense and dense inflammation, causing dysuria and scarring. Using holmium laser like this, the depth of penetration of energy is just 0.4 millimeter. That prevents any such scarring and associated symptoms like dysuria, frequency, urgency. So I hope you're enjoying the video. I can, if you want, I can make it a little faster. This is actually an unedited video segment. So I brought it, I made it a little faster for you. But the beauty is that this is absolutely bloodless. So if you master this art, because you have the energy with you, if you master this art, then obviously you can use it wherever you can, wherever you want. And I'm glad that Tanuj is going to present something like the versatility of holmium laser. I presented in Norzone in the year 2010, some videos in Shimla. Norzone was in Shimla at that time. And the versatility, and a lot of videos. The idea is, if you can master the art of using holmium laser, you can do a lot of things. And in fact, you get dependent on the holmium laser so much that you want it in your OT every time you do a cystoscopy. So I'm making it fast forward because this is an unedited video, but I think we are going to be closer to the end. And I hope you are looking at the video and enjoying with me, because this is a bloodless procedure. And you can see the bare muscle fibers just behind. They are, see, the tissues are white, as I was explaining with PVD. If you take away the blood, they become white. So the tissues are white, they are not charred. They are just devoid of any blood supply. And the holmium laser actually coagulates the small capillary blood vessels also at that setting. And soon we will see the specimen come out. So in the meantime, if there are any more questions, because we are running short of time, I'll be happy to answer the questions.
So there is a question, sir,
Yeah.
versus holmium laser. So as we
Yeah.
see, the field is already so bloodless. Is there any additional advantage of using thulium laser?
See, the problem is, hello.
Vashni sir,
Hello. Yes,
Hello.
can you hear me?
Yes, yes, I can hear you.
Okay, Rajesh, we have got a lot of questions from across the continent. We have Dr. Balbir Verma asking you that
Yes.
do you take deep biopsies from the tumor bed and how do you evaluate bigger tumors?
Well, I do take deep biopsies whenever there is a doubt. Like in the first case, I did take biopsies, but certainly not in the rest of the case, the other cases. But the point is, if there's a muscle invasive tumor, nowadays we do CT scan with contrast in all the bladder tumors. And if it appears to be a muscle invasive, I would not do an en bloc resection, because muscle invasive means you are going to have distorted planes in the muscles. And that is not a very good idea. So I would resort back to a TURBT, the standard TURBT, if I suspect it is a muscle invasive tumor.
Next question is by Dr. Nazir, and he's saying that how would you remove black tumors from anterior wall and do you do from dome of the blood with the holmium?
Hello?
Do you remove
Sorry,
tumors
I
from
could.
the dome?
Yes, yes, you can. Yes, Tanuj, have I stopped sharing the screen?
Yes, sir. You have stopped.
Okay.
So
I was.
can you hear us?
Yeah.
I was not able to hear Dr. Anil Vashne properly because his voice was cracking.
Vashni sir, your voice
Okay,
is
so now can you hear me, Rajesh?
Yes, I'm trying to hear you, sir.
Okay, so the question is that anterior wall and dome of the bladder. So this question is from Nazir.
Yes. So it is possible to do, small papillomatous growths hanging from the bladder, anterior bladder wall and dome. Actually, one is scared to do a TURBT with a loop because the depth can sometimes be difficult to control. So when you have this laser, holmium laser with you, it is possible to control the depth. So what you need to do is since it is bloodless, you don't need too much of irrigation. The most important thing is if it is bloodless, you don't need too much of irrigation. So you fix the bladder to say 150, 200 ml, not more. So have the exits open, slightly open, and adjust it to the inlet in such a manner that the bladder is almost at a stable level of 150 to 200 ml. And if there is a difficulty in locating the tumor, ask an assistant to have a constant pressure in the lower abdomen in such a manner, with the palm of the hand of the assistant, in such a manner that you can fix the target. And that is what I say, fixation of target is important. You cannot do this procedure on a moving target. So you need to fix, and this is how I fix the target. Fix the volume of the bladder, fix the pressure on the suprapubic area, get the lesion under the vision of your scope, and start working. And I can tell you, you can actually have a much better control of energy than a TURBT and that location. And another thing, when I say 150 ml, it is because to 150 to 200 ml, the bladder wall thickness is substantial. So you are running your risk of running out of the bladder remains small. But if you distend it too much, then yes, of course, the bladder can get thinner.
Sir, during your
Yep.
presentation, you said if you want to take a deep biopsy, you would like to take a deep biopsy with a cold cup forceps. So
That's
generally,
right.
the penetration of the tumor into muscle may not be exactly at the place where we may be taking the biopsy. So will it not be a good idea to have a depth
Deeper.
of dissection
Yeah,
between entire resection happening in a layer of muscle? You lift maybe
that's
one third
right.
of the muscle with that.
Yes, Aditya, that is exactly what I would like to do. When you do the resection, when you do an enucleation, you are taking some amount of muscle. If you see the video, the first video we have taken substantial amount of muscle. But what happens is that there may be areas or islands which you are not comfortable leaving behind. And that is when you can pick up those areas and send them separately for biopsy.
Okay. Sir, what is your approach in case you are not able to see the ureteric orifice at all?
Yes, as I said, that is actually a difficult situation. So when you are doing a TURBT with a loop in a situation like that, you cut it and you find the ureter dilate. Most of the time it is dilated because it is partly obstructed by the tumor. So it is dilated and it's really not difficult to find. In my case, in the second case, the video that I showed, why I had a difficulty in locating was because he had undergone a TURBT earlier and had caused scarring, and this is an inflammatory mass. Had it been a neoplastic mass, you are by and large, you should be able to see the ureters after
And
cutting.
how would you
Yes.
like to, what is your opinion about morcellation for removal of large enucleated tumor?
Well, that beats the purpose actually. You can do that, but that beats. I would tell you what you do in situation like that. You pass a nephroscope and you use the laparoscopic scissors and you cut the base. If you see the tumor with it's like a cauliflower growth, you cut the base and it split the tumor into 2 or 3 pieces, and the base is attached to the tumor like a cauliflower piece. And then you can pass a nephroscope or a laparoscopic forceps, 5 forceps, and hold the base of the tumor and pull it out through the sheath. Never ever take the tumor out along with the sheath, because that is going to cause implantation of the TCC cells. TCC cells are notorious for him getting implanted. So never do that. You must remove all the tumor through the sheath, not through the urethra.
Dr. Sandhu has asked, while you are removing tumor with the forceps, is there any chance of architectural distortion because of pressure of the forceps?
No, not really. That doesn't happen. In fact, architectural problems would occur more with the electrical energy when you are doing a TURBT rather than mechanically holding them.
So, in your opinion, how does laser scores over the technique demonstrated like SGPGI group using a conventional loop?
Well, it is a matter of being used to a particular energy source. So I've never used that, but I think that is a little crude thing, because when you take the loop and you bend it to 45 degrees, halfway through the procedure it may become 70 degrees or may become 30 degrees. So I do not know. I've never used it, but I can tell you, using TURP, when we were using TURP, you can see towards the end of the procedure, you find that the angle of the loop has changed. So if the angle of the loop has changed during the end block excision of the tumor, then you may actually cause damage to the bladder. This is what I feel. This is a theoretical risk. I have never done it. I do not know if that happens or not. But I'm very happy with the laser because the penetration is only 0.4 mm. So if I go make a mistake, I'm making a mistake at 0.4 mm only. That is the thing.
So initially, you were saying, is there actually any advantage of thulium for bladder tumor per se because the field was totally bloodless, which we saw?
See, thulium will cause coagulative necrosis of the tumor. And I do not know how the histologist will feel about it. Maybe the pathologist is not going to feel good about it because he would find something which is coagulated. So I have no idea how, because I have no experience, so I cannot tell you how thulium will treat the bladder tumor.
So, sir, does the location of the tumor has play a major role in decision making whether you will like to go for an en bloc enucleation versus you will go a conventional TURBT? There's a question by Dr. Gautam.
Yeah, the location, as I said, if you are used to doing a procedure like this, then you see over the period of years, you can do anything. But for the beginners, I will suggest you restrict yourself to the posterior wall and the trigone. Going to the lateral wall, it is wonderful, you can do it, but the biggest problem is that, as I said, you should learn to keep the bladder volume as a fixed volume, fixed number. If the bladder keeps moving, because it is a mobile part, rest of the areas are mobile, the lateral anterolateral wall or the lateral wall is mobile in the bladder. So if the volume of the bladder is changing, then your direction of excision also changes. The depth of excision changes. So I will suggest if you're doing it on the lateral wall, you must remember that you should have it at 150 to 200 ml only, and make sure that the irrigation is minimal, and keep emptying the bladder, looking at your bearings on and off. You can do it anywhere. I told you we can do it in anterior wall and the dome also.
Sir, with laser,
Rajesh, the question is that
risk
what are
of
the contraindications of doing this laser en bloc removal?
The
When
contraindication,
will
the
you
biggest
not
is,
do it?
yeah, if you feel this is a solid tumor, it is going into the muscles, I think we should not do that. Then you do a proper TURBT, because the reason being that the architecture of the muscles would have gone. So you may not find a good plane. If you see in the videos that I shown, you can see the crisscross muscles, the white muscles, shining muscles, and then you have a plane and you can work along with it. But if it is a solid tumor, you can get confused because the tumor is going into the muscle, your direction will go into the muscle and you can get into trouble. So if there is something which seems to be a muscle invasive tumor or a solid tumor, I would suggest not to do something like that.
sir, as there is no obturator jerk, so which anesthesia you prefer for your cases for en bloc?
See, I would always prefer general anesthesia. The reason being, if he is in the spinal anesthesia and he decides to cough, then I'm gone. So something like this, and especially bladder tumor, there are more than one reasons to have general anesthesia rather than spinal anesthesia. One of them is this, because the bladder is a mobile organ and you are struggling at an area which is mobile, and 2 millimeter change in the direction of the energy can really hurt. So you cannot predict the cough of a blood of a person, or he may want to yawn or may move a little bit, and that can make a movement in the bladder. So bladder tumor, I will not be very comfortable doing under spinal anesthesia. We have all done it. I've done it, but now let me tell you, I will not be able to. I will not be happy to do it under spinal. So I've just done one case 3 days ago. It's a bladder tumor, but I had to do it as a TURBT because it was an inflammatory red inflamed bladder, small capacity, thought it was a fungal mass. I thought I'll just scrape it off and come out, because the whole bladder was bleeding. And due to COVID, the anesthetist did not give general anesthesia. They gave spinal anesthesia because they said we'll not give. And I just quickly scraped it off. The question was time. So I just quickly scraped it off, and his urine had shown fungus, but his histology has come out as cystitis glandularis, intestinal menoplasia, and high-grade urothelial tumor seen. So I'm stuck with this. He's got 100 ml, 80 ml capacity of the bladder, and he has been having UTI. So situation like that, you can get stuck with. So I would still say a general anesthesia should be requested, unless you are stuck with COVID, where people would try to give you spinal rather than general anesthesia.
So maybe, sir, in COVID era, some cough syrup before spinal may work.
Probably
If patient has cough, I will run away from the OT.
Sir, my last question is this technique with various energy sources has been there almost 20 years in published literature. What do you think en bloc tumor enucleation per se, for what reason it is not becoming more popular?
See, I'll tell you, as we talked about Holmium laser in all teaching that we are, time is prime. So if you want to remove this kind of tumor, you will take maybe 2 minutes to take 3 chips and come out. And I have taken 10 minutes. So it is the inherent thought process of the urologist that how quickly he wants to come out. We are all very impatient surgeons by nature. And that prevents us from switching over. Suppose I do these things and my residents keep seeing this. They will enjoy doing the surgery, so they will not mind spending 10 more minutes. But if I go to a medical college and tell the professor that, look, we can do this way, he will say, yaar, main 2 minutes mein nikal dunga. Why are you trying to take 10 minutes on it? So that is how we are all wired to, that's the reason.
With this,